So hi, this is Saved Sinner Sarah Wild, and again using my crappy computer webcam. And I'm making this video to wade into a touchy, sensitive subject, and I'm like wading into touchy, sensitive subjects. But as a woman, and honestly, as a woman who has never had a child herself, for some reason I never got pregnant and never investigated as to why that never happened, but that literally never happened. I've never had a baby myself, but I am a woman, obviously. And so I'm going to wade into the subject of abortion and rape. And there's kind of an ongoing issue with people who feel strongly about abortion, which I do. Abortion is the killing of a human child. And people who oppose it are correct to oppose it because it is the killing of an unborn, innocent human child. And that's wrong. It just is. But where people are then getting messed up, and men who don't understand why are women, up in arms, and there is this whole battle, and don't touch my womb, and but we have to save the babies and don't touch my womb, and there's this whole mess. And unfortunately, in this mess, there's a lot of rape victims getting re-traumatized and re-victimized for being told horrible things like, you have to keep your child, and being told by men who they know don't understand their situation. And how can you force me to make this horrible personal decision and make it a matter of law? And killing an unborn human baby, an innocent baby, is evil. And when a woman is raped and you legally require her to keep that baby, that's also evil. It is evil. And that's why they're fighting you. And what is the greater evil? They're both evil. They're literally both evil. And it's above my pay grade to make that decision. All right, I'm just here to explain to the men why the women are fighting, and the women are fighting for control over their bodies, and the men are like, but that's a baby. So I came up with a scenario that maybe will help you understand. So this is to make rape real for the men, right? Invent a little fictional scenario. I'm going to invent a guy, and just in the invention of my my brain, and I'm going to name him Chester. I don't have any real life friends named Chester. I just picked that out of my brain. So here's Chester, and Chester had a bad day for some reason. Maybe Chester lost his job. Maybe Chester lost his mom, which is more serious. Chester had a really bad day. And so Chester goes to the bar. Chester gets drunk. Really drunk. Really drunk. He had a bad day. He lost his job. He lost his mom. Who knows? Bad day. He gets drunk, and Chester's bad drunk. Chester is not a nice drunk. Chester is a belligerent drunk. Right? He gets very drunk and has not noticed that the bar is full of actually some pretty scary men. And he opens his mouth and runs it off, and turns out he picked the wrong day and the wrong bar to go to the bar, get drunk, and get mean, because he ran into the local drug lord who was relaxing at that bar after a hard day. This is all invented, all right? This is a complete invented story. That all the characters in this are fictional, all right? He ran into the local drug lord who was there with his 2 lieutenants and a few of his gang members, and they're relaxing after a hard day of doing illegal business, just wanted to be left in peace. And here comes Chester, and Chester runs off his mouth, and he talked to the wrong guy, and they had a hard day doing all that illegal stuff. And so, bartender's like, oh crap. And what happens to Chester next is all these people that he just met who, he came in and ruined their day by being the belligerent drunk. They all take him out to some back alley, some dark place, and convince him with chains, pipes, and whatever else that Chester made a really bad choice by crossing them. And after they've thoroughly worked him over, they leave him for dead. And Chester now has had a really, really bad day. Really bad day. And it's about 6 people. All right. So what happened to Chester? Chester was overwhelmed by superior force. Chester was a good fighter. He was in decent shape. He had some experience fighting. Chester could not, outfight 6 men with weapons. Just couldn't. No contest. And they worked him over and left him for dead. Rape's a lot like that. You take a woman who there are women who can fight men. They're few and far between. Most women can't fight off a man, and most of the time they don't even have to, because men do stuff to them psychologically. You can manipulate and hurt a human many more ways than just physically. Most of the time it's psychological. I heard of a very, very sad story where a woman was an Iraqi vet. She was a vet. She had fought in wars. And a man took a gun to her, and she just did what he said because she didn't want to die. And that woman was a veteran who had seen combat. And when a man came to her with a gun and said, "You will, do what I say," she did it. And she got raped. But you're a vet. But well, he had a gun. Probably her combat training said, "This guy has a gun, and I'm in a bad position, and I want to live." And I heard another very sad story about a sex worker. A sex worker has no recourse because she's already, doing illegal stuff. And she had a client, and the client had a gun, and the client made her do stuff she was not paid for and did not consent to, and it was very planned as the client. This is a real story. This story, these two stories I'm not making up, they actually happened to these poor women. They're real, true stories. And the client had a gun and forced her to do things that she didn't want to do. And he had a condom, so he didn't leave evidence behind. And he left, and she was shaken, and she did it as he had a gun. All right. So, and they don't all have guns. There's lots of ways to coerce a woman into doing what you want. And it's all just emotionally like Chester with 6 men with weapons, and he's unarmed. What chance does he have? It's like that for women. Okay, this is literally how it is for women. All right. So even if they don't fight back, they probably can't in so many ways. And you can do stuff to women psychologically so they won't fight back. And so all this, she should have fought like a tiger. If she'd fought like a tiger, she'd be dead. Right? Don't give women the "you should have fought like a tiger" crap. If they'd probably be dead. They chose to get raped and escape with their lives, and don't shame them for that. That has to stop, honestly. Just stop. Stop that. Stop shaming women for decisions they made to preserve their lives when their lives were threatened. Just stop. Seriously. So back to Chester. Chester is in the fight. In this fight, Chester survives, and someone finds him and calls 911, and he gets taken away in an ambulance and gets treated. And it is found in the fight that someone took a needle, because these are drug lords. Someone took a needle and stabbed Chester in the stomach and injected something into him. So on top of being beat up, someone injected him with something in this fight. And this injection forms a tumor. So now Chester has a tumor growing in his abdominal cavity. He's a tumor where the drugs were injected, and that's the effect it has. And now he's a tumor. So how do you think Chester would feel if women doctors said, "I'm so sorry, Chester, there's nothing we can do for your tumor. For moral reasons, we will not remove it. We will not treat it. You just have to live with the tumor." How would Chester respond if his wounds were not treated? How would you feel if the lady doctors come to you and say that tumor growing in your abdomen, that the drug lords injected in you, you have to live with it. For moral reasons, we will not treat it. How would you feel? Now, the tumor in the raped woman's womb is a baby. It's a human being. those decisions are so far beyond my pay grade. Who comes first, the baby or the woman who, is carrying this horrible evidence of her trauma that's growing inside her body? That's beyond my pay grade. What I'm asking for is a little compassion and a little bit of sense. And think about what it would feel like, men, for you. And, just stop the BS about the women should have fought back. Well, Chester probably did fight back, but, 6 men and weapons. And women in general are physically smaller and weaker than men. And there's many weapons and many ways of overwhelming women psychologically, physically, and in all ways. All right. So stop with the BS. Stop shaming rape victims. Stop putting them in impossible positions. And, I don't have the solutions, but kindness and compassion are really necessary here. All right. Sarah now.